every year in the queen community, we're selling queens, and I have people come up and we always ask them what they're going to do with their queen. A lot of them are going to re-queen a hive. Some of them making splits, and a lot of them are just saying they're queenless. Actually, we always ask them this: how do you know? And we don't always get real assuring answers. So the purpose of this was to try to instill a little confidence in people that they know they have a queenless hive. And I want to thank George because George went over just about everything here.
I suck.
No, that was good. You did good, George.
I got off on a tangent.
You got to remember, if we hear it once, we probably won't remember it, but if we hear it multiple times, we're more likely to pick it up.
All right, this is.
I didn't say this.
No, you didn't. You didn't have the whole thing. This is signs that your hive is queenless. When you go up to the hive, even before you go into it, you may notice that there's a change of behavior in bees. That nice, calm hive that you had is now bumping into your forehead. Maybe a lot louder. Instead of being that nice, soft purr of the hum of the bees, now you've got a roar. And I've read that you get a whine, which I've never heard. I'm sure that it is there. You also get a lot more foragers on the landing board, which is partly from the fact that now that you don't have as much brood because your queen is gone, a lot of the nurse bees have nothing to do, so they become foragers. But don't mistake the foragers for robbers. You can see a lot of bees activity on your landing board, maybe robbers. But if you're noticing that they're bringing honey in or pollen in, you can be pretty sure that they are not robbers. There is a book out, Mark has mentioned, called Queen Spotting. There's also a website. If you just type in Queen Spotting, it'll take you right to this. The book, which I haven't seen, I believe it's good for if you're new to beekeeping and you're having a lot of trouble spotting queens. This has a lot of pictures that you can look, and it's just like a practice. Where's Waldo? Where's the queen? It would help. The other thing is with the queen team, we're constantly going into the hives. One of the things we do all the time is look for queens. We have 20-some boxes, so every time we're out, we go through 20-some hives. And if you want to come out, we post what days we're going to be there. You can come out and get some good experience. It's great hands-on. Actually, if you have your stuff together, you're leaving from here to go to the apiary. One of the signs that you'll see is your brood is slowly dwindling away. You lose all your eggs after the first 3 days. After 9 days, you only have capped brood. After 21 days, you have grown, and then it is all full. One of the things that George had talked about was the brood nest, the brood area there. That will, if they have a queen, they have a mated queen that hasn't yet started laying, you'll find that area, everything else on the frame may be backfilled, but they'll leave that area open. That's a sign that you may well be getting a queen. You also start to see supersedure cells or emergent cells. If it's a case where you lost your queen, it'll be emergent cells. They don't look any different. The supersedure cells are not usually on the bottom, but they can be. The cells, they'll start making a cell right after they lose the queen. It'll take 4 or 5 days for that to actually happen, which is actually 8 to 10 days when the egg was laid. But that's because one of the things that is a good help is bee map, is to really be able to look at something and to be able to tell, okay, well, this happened like this. That's the stage of the brood on that. I know I had a queen 7 days ago. I know I had a queen 9 days ago. very helpful to drill that into your head to be able to understand what's going on with your queen. The other thing you'll see when you go into the hive is that it's being backfilled everywhere in the brood, across the brood nest. Everything's being filled with
Anaphylaxis?
yeah.
We're ready.
Because you have a lot more foragers, they're bringing in a lot more stuff. So you are going to get them to start to fill the brood nest, fill the space where they would normally put eggs because they don't have a queen anymore. This can also be a sign of a swarm. They will fill the brood nest prior to a swarm as well. So just keep that in mind. And like I did mention about the queen, they don't fill it. 3 weeks after the queen's born, you start to get laying workers. Laying workers once you get them, they're not easy to get rid of. The picture there depicts what laying workers would look like. Because they can't lay fertilized eggs, they lay drones in worker cells. So the cells are scattered all over. There's no actual pattern to it. And because the drones in it, they can't really fit in those cells. They get the old look. And then further on down the line, you'll start to see a lot of drones because that's all the drone layers are producing. But you're talking well over a month before you get to that 6 weeks. Because the queen has lost, there's no more queen pheromone. The queen pheromone is kind of what holds the hive together. So without it, the hive starts to get confused and listless, and you see them. You open the hive, look at it, and they're just kind of like skittering around in the hive in the frame. So there's 2 easy tests you can do to definitely tell whether you have or don't have a queen. One is the cone test. If you just take a frame with young larvae on it and eggs, you can put that in. They will make queen cells. They make queen cells. That's telling you that they don't have a queen. Alternately, you can take and if you have a cell or a frame with queen cells on it, you can put that in. If you have a queen, they'll tear them down. If you don't have a queen, they will continue to let that hatch. Your next one? Okay. There is a couple times when you will have a queen that will stop laying. You stop laying in the winter, so you will lose your eggs. She will stop laying if there's in the middle of a dirt, or she'll slow way down. The other reason that the queen won't lay is because there's no food coming in or there's no pollen. If she doesn't have pollen, she won't lay eggs. And if she does, the workers will realize that there's not enough food for them to feed the larvae, and they'll eat the eggs of the larvae. I don't believe there's any other time that she will stop laying, other than if she's injured or sick. Any questions?
One
Okay.
more time, Charlie, go.
Okay. Let me
One of the things that sometimes we do on the queen team is if you drop a frame of foundation in a hive in the brood chamber, and you come back in 2 or 3 days later, and that frame they're drawing out wax, that's a good sign that they're queen, right? If you come back 2 or 3 days later and that frame isn't touched, that's also a sign they're probably. But 85% of the hot time, you are queen frame.
Yeah.
So buy a queen if you need it.
We will have our queen sale next Saturday. I'm still not sure how many we're going to have. I'll probably post it Monday night.
Good queens.
Good queen. Oh,
What's
yeah.
our price on Queens? Do you think about it and get back to
It's the
us?
same as it was last year. How's that?
I don't
It's been $30 for
say
5
30 or
years.
40.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, $30 for years. Question,
If you have like laying workers and you put in eggs and brood and they make a new queen, does that take care of the laying workers or do you have to like do something to get rid of that?
I don't think that's enough. Like, once you have a laying worker, I did a presentation on this last year. You're gonna have to combine. I can walk you through it if you need help.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. I was just curious.
Oh, yeah,
Usually
I
you
don't
have to
think
put in
that's enough.
several rounds of frames before you get enough worker brood in there where where the worker, it's the worker brood pheromone that stops the laying workers, but oftentimes 1 or 2 frames of worker brood isn't enough to stop it. You gotta go back in a week or 2 and add some more brood. And honestly, not to say that you can't fix the problem, but why not make a split and make a new hive, honestly, instead of dumping resources into a laying worker hive. That's my.
Yeah. The pheromone is why the layer worker starts. It takes 3 weeks, because it takes 3 weeks to get rid of all the open brood. So after the open brood is gone, that's when the laying worker will start. And the idea is if you introduce open brood, that pheromone will slow the workers down and they will make a queen, but it's not easy.
I know the queen team's making queens. I know Ed is making cells. There may be other people in this club that are making cells. If you're making cells or queen and they're local stock, please feel free to post it on the website or let people know that you have these cells. And this is the most important thing we do, is try to flood this area with as much local genes as we can, honestly. So please.
But not genes from my yard.
Not Donna's bees, because her bees are still 4 years trying to figure out how to make some honey, you know? But they'll get there, Donna. I'm sure they'll get there.
It's not because it's meaty either.
No.
All right, thank you.
I have a quick story. Really, 1 minute. You know, you sit there, I used to sit there and I used to think, like, is some of this stuff real or not real? Is it just. So I went to an apiary this week. I showed up at the apiary, got out of my truck, and all of a sudden I hear a hum. You know what that means, right? Swarm. So I hear this hum, and I look up in the sky, and there's a cloud of bees flying all the way through the sky. So what did I do? This is really cool. I took my smoker and a hive tool, and I start banging. I was like, Lynn Arnold gave a talk last year on Tang, and I sat there, I was like, oh, come on, this is a bunch of. But I was like, okay, why not try? So I took my hive tool and my smoker, I start banging and banging and banging. You know what happened?
It didn't bite you.
Nothing.
That's what happened.
I'll tell the story.
Nothing.
They came down to the hive.
No,
Yeah, they did.
I tried it.
They came down to the hive, and within 2 minutes, all these bees come down and on the surface of the face of the hive, and then they walk in. Now, do I know if it was my banging, or do I know that they left and the queen was still in the hive? I don't know. But I swear, it was like incredible. So always be open minded. Yeah, they came. I knew exactly what hive they came out of because they came back to the original hive, and they're all on the face. I mean, the face of the hive is totally black with bees, and I keep banging, and within 5 minutes, all the bees are back inside the hive.
Who remembers why that works?
Like the frequency.
How long did they stay?
They think it's there's a thunderstorm.
No, I went into the hive. I found the mark queen, and I made a split. So the mark now was the mark queen. Was the mark queen in that mass of bees that was flying around? I don't know. Right, that's the question. But probably, yeah. So they say use a pot and a pan, but a smoker and a hive tool. And it made my year. I was like, okay, I actually believe in Tang.
So if you do that, are they gonna just swarm again?
Yeah, they will storm. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, he split them though.
Yeah, so I went back in and I said, I got to figure this out. And then the Mark Queen was there and I just pulled her out and made a split and took her somewhere else. So I basically.
This year?
Just this week.
Just this week.
Yeah, it was incredible. I was like, cool.
Do you decide? Who do you want?
I have a video of it
Me.
that's editing right now, so you'll see it eventually.